A state lawmaker says several state departments need to be investigated because they're withholding information in tens of thousands of child abuse cases. Thanks so much for joining us at 6. I'm Shay Razi.
And I'm Rick Marinon. We told you at 5 how parents, attorneys, and advocates all appeared before a State House committee about those claims today.
In our continuing coverage, Fox 23's Devin Lyons spoke with the committee chair after that hearing and is live with what's next.
At the end of that hearing, State Representative J.J. Humphrey says they were making a House order to the State Bureau of Investigation to investigate DHS and other departments. When I spoke with him earlier, he says they only need one more signature to make it happen.
This committee will commit to doing all we can to stop this horrendous, outrageous behavior.
At Monday's House committee hearing, 6 families and a team of attorneys called for immediate action against DHS, claiming the department and others are hiding information about criminal activity against children.
We're damaging these children worse than the original offenders.
We have generationally, systemically failed these children.
So what we can take away today, abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, equivalent to torture, has been known.
The House Justice Committee announced they're asking OSBI to investigate these departments.
Case after case after case, we've been totally ignored.
He says they also have failed to contact law enforcement in several cases.
What we're seeing is the abuse of our criminal system, abuse of our court system, and when you call it out, guess what? Nothing to be done. And nobody be held accountable. It is time that the people that are doing this in state government are held accountable. And when we start holding them accountable, watch it get cleaned up.
Fox 23 brought you coverage before on Daryl Doherty out of Stillwater. He says his claims of child abuse over a period of 6 years were never investigated, despite having plenty of evidence.
The legal staff of Oklahoma DHS filed again in court that my child had made no disclosures of any kind of sexual abuse, physical abuse, or neglect in any of his cases, even though they sat in on a deposition and heard it.
Committee wants to send a request to OSBI by Monday, along with the potential evidence given to the committee by families and other advocates.
If we find that human rights or civil rights have been violated, then you probably need to call in the feds on this. And again, I think that's where it needs to go.
After today's hearing, I talked with 2 parents who made claims against DHS. They said they're feeling hopeful. There is much more to be investigated, and I'll be doing that over the next few days and weeks. Live in studio, covering news that matters, Devin Lyon, Fox 23 News.
Humphrey also told us the House order calling for an investigation could include the Tulsa County Juvenile Justice Center because of recent sexual abuse claims and arrests. DHS sent us a statement saying they're focused on their promise to protect and preserve child safety.
Only on Fox 23 tonight, Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt says he's open to passing some reforms to DHS next legislative session. Stitt says he asked his newly appointed head of DHS, Jeffrey Cartmel, to begin analyzing the agency for multiple course corrections in multiple areas. Stitt says he's heard bipartisan concerns about the agency having multiple issues, and he says he's asked Cartmel to begin working on changes that will need to be addressed by lawmakers next year.
We're really excited about Jeffrey Cartmel running DHS, putting a fresh set of eyes on that. And I tell people all the time, that agency specifically, there's nothing bigger than if the government is going to say that we're going to take kids out of this home and put them in another home. I can't think of a bigger issue. We better get that right. And so that's my whole deal, is I want to make sure I dig into that, we look at it, we make sure we're making those right decisions, because ultimately we need parents with their kids. We need parents doing a better job in some cases with their kids, for sure. And there's kids in dangerous situations, and that's what DHS is for. But there's also cases when, if we got it wrong, you know, God help us, we need to get those kids back to their parents. And so those are the things that I'm really trying to dig in, put a fresh set of eyes, make sure that we look at our processes, things that were set up 20 years ago, maybe they're different today. And but it is a complicated, it's very, very complicated, because you're dealing with kids, and I think Oklahomans are super passionate. We better get that right.
Do you believe there will be some kind of reform measure next session? to address some of this stuff.
You know, next session, maybe so. Hopefully, if Jeffrey can get in there and kind of make some recommendations to the legislature, I think everybody, all Oklahomans watching, all 4 million Oklahomans, we want to protect our kids. And that's the most important thing. And so, but also, just because you might parent different than me, I mean, or it's a dirty house, or there's maybe some, you know, it's just different than the way you would parent. That's not a reason you pull kids. There's got to be some serious, there's got to be something that's happened. And so that's where I'm just very, very cautious, because that is a last resort. When a government gets involved and takes a kid out of a home, that's just one of the that really keeps me up at night. And I want to make sure that when I'm governor, we're getting that right. We're doing everything we can to reunite kids with families, safe families, and then speeding up the adoption process. If it is a bad family and those kids are in harm, let's get them into a great home and a foster family, and let's let them get adopted and get, because the back and forth, pulling them out of this home and moving them around, that's not the answer either.
There is bipartisan support and an appetite for DHS reform, and it has been in some races the top issue some candidates have been focusing on while running. Lawmakers will start writing bills in December.